2024. Good morning. Just truly excited and count today as a blessing on this first Saturday in January. We want to welcome you to the Mastermind Call with the Dreammakers Network. It's Byron Deese, and just couldn't be more excited about today's call. And just for everyone who's dialing in, for folks who are connecting with us online through social media, so many folks through different time zones, whether you're listening in live or you're going to catch us later. We thank you. We welcome you to joining us this morning. But for those of you who are on the call and connecting with us for the first time, welcome to the Mastermind Call with the Dreammakers Network. We are a personal development network. And this particular call is really focused on personal development, where the objective is when two or three people come together in a spirit of harmony, that the collective mind, that collectively we can access opportunities, thoughts, ideas that you may not have been able to come up with on your own. And the unique recipe for that is the fact that we're coming together for the purpose of personal development. How do we take nothing into something? How do we go from where we are now to where we want to be? Even the thought of personal development, even the thought of today's a new day and there's an opportunity that is ahead of me. And I'm trying to figure out how to get to that next step. And the exciting part about this network, we've been hosting this call since 2012. 2012, Saturday mornings, 7 a.m. Eastern time. We host this call for the unique purpose of personal development. And it is just, I can only just think about and in many ways just get excited about what's happened over those almost 12 years now. We're heading into 12 years that we've hosted this call, and the relationships that have been built, the thought process, the behaviors that have changed, the business ventures that we've dove into, the business community activities we've done together. But more importantly, just having, I think it's an unfair advantage in many ways when you have a network of folks that are rooting for you, that are going through the same things you're going through, and doing it with a spirit of growth, with the spirit of personal development, with the spirit of taking your life from where it is now to the next level. And no one is here to say that every day is just this beautiful, cake and flowers days. I mean, more so you get a chance to really tap into who you really are on those tough days. When things didn't particularly go your way, how did you handle it? When the issues really mounted, how did you handle those situations? And I can say on a more personal level, that personal development, the conversations that we've had over the years, the books that we've read and delve into, the conversations and the type of relationships that we've built have truly taken my energies and my thought process to a whole new level. And not to be in a situation where we just wallow when things are bad, but we recognize what is the floor and we build from there. And even when things are going great, and we recognize that this is an accomplishment that we all should be celebrating, having the temperament, having the energy, having the, being able to save it up for the next opportunity, being able to celebrate and say, okay, on to the next, right? And so it's just been great to have you guys a part of this network over the past 11 and a half years. And I couldn't be more excited about what 2024 has for this network and has for us individually. as we begin to dive deeper into our goals, whether it be career, family, spiritual, community. It's just great to be in a situation where we can know that we're connecting with folks who are goal oriented and are willing to go to work on the things that truly matter to you. And so, thank you for joining us. We look forward to hearing from you on the call today. And we're excited about what this year has to offer for this network and for everyone who connects with us throughout the rest of the year. So, thank you so much for diving in with us. Well, we actually were scheduled, if you will, to have our call last week, and it was scheduled. Usually, our calls are the last Saturday of each month, and I actually was traveling last week to Dublin, Georgia, which is the hometown of my dad and the hometown of my maternal grandmother. So it's interesting. So all roads lead to Dublin, Georgia for me, and it was there to celebrate the life of my great aunt, and she passed away at the blessed age of 95. And, and so it's just definitely was a great time to be there, but we weren't able to have our call. But to be honest with you, I was eager to have this call the first Saturday of the year, um, just so we could not only prepare for the year and look forward. But I do think it is worth us taking time to, because we didn't do more of a, um, I don't want to say a year in review, but at least to just take a second to open up and communicate about what you learned in 2023. What were some of the lessons, whether it be good or bad, that you learned about yourself in 2023 that will help you to as a baseline going into this year and approaching the goals that you have for this year in 2024. And so I definitely want to take a second before we dive into any other topic for going forward for this call to open up the call to folks who are on the line who would like to just take a second and share what you've learned in 2023 and how that will add to add to what you're working on going forward. um and so you know it doesn't have to be a long explanation, but I want to I think it's always great when you're able to uh think about that and verbalize, to put that out into the atmosphere that I learned that. And if it was a life lesson, then it's definitely a good one. But at the same time, it's just great to be able to document what that year looked like for you and what you took away from it. So let's take a second and open up the call now to anyone who'd like to share what they learned about themselves in 2023, that may have been a surprise or that you feel good about. Maybe you feel, sad that you learned that, but it's a truth. This is a good time to be honest and bold, and you're with folks who care, and the whole objective is to be honest and bold and truthful with ourselves. So let's take a second. We'll open up the call now to anyone who'd like to take a second and share what you learned about yourself in 2023. We'll open up the call now. Hey, good morning. That's team. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My man, good to hear you, brother. Okay. 2023, and it's a feel good moment for me. And 2023 was not full of feel good moments. Hmm. Mm. To take stuff like that this year. And I learned that we are people. Oh, let's see, man. Oh, there you go. Go for it. Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. I love it. Am enough. I love it. Love it. Appreciate you, brother, kicking us off. Uh, our old school Apostle Paul, man. We it was good to connect with you yesterday, brother. Wow. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love it. I love it. I love it. Appreciate you kicking us off, man. I appreciate that big time. Anybody else? Let's open up the call. Anybody else want to back up and just kind of take a second and share what you learned about yourself in 2023? We'll open up the call now. Let's go, brother. Let's go. You tell me, brother. Mm. Okay. Mm. Uh-huh. Uh. Yeah. Uh-huh.
your crew of like-minded people in your industry, whatever it is that you're doing, that has the same goals and mindset as you, and wants to be engineers just like you. Because if you don't, everyone else, like he said, they will pull you down. We all know about the crab theory, right? We know about that crab pot theory. So you gotta get out that crab pot and find like-minded people, whatever industry that you're in. I don't care if you're doing badminton. I don't care if you're doing sewing. I don't care if you're doing crochet. I don't care if you're in the financial industry. I don't care if you're in the apparel industry. I don't care what it is. You got to find your crew that does the same thing that you do and has the same goal and wants to be engineered just like you, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. So, with that being said, the base of it started launched our company called Strands of Life on December 2nd.
Mhm.
I didn't want to wait to January 1st because, oh, new year, new this, new that. No, I want to have all my processes and procedures in place on January 1st. So we started this back in, I would say, August, November, August, September, and then we launched from the second. So it took us a couple months to get things going. We were stuck, got everything going, and now, right now, we're hitting on all cylinders.
Mm.
Right now, it's sol.md, sol.md, or gotsoul.com, GOTSOL.com. Both of those will take to our website, and what it is, it's a plant-based muscle and joint release gel. Now, I'm at a powerlifting gym. I despise powerlifting. I was like, I'm never ever going to a powerlifting gym because I don't want to be around all these meatheads with warriors and going crazy and all that stuff. It's just not me. I'm just not built that. Well, lo and behold, it's probably one of the best gyms I've ever been to. Because believe it or not, there's no judgment. I mean, I'm working out with ladies that are like 65 years old coming for the first time, and everyone's cheering them on. Everyone's supporting them. Like the gym, this powerlifting gym that I went, we don't care if you can only lift the bar. The fact that you're in here doing something to better yourself.
Mhm.
We don't care that you can do 500 pounds. Make sure you can do 505 and be the best that you can be. So that I'm taking that model of we don't care what you can do as long as you're better than yesterday and you continue to do it, you keep moving, and people are willing to help you out and push you along. So in any industry, whatever industry you're in, that's the type of people that you need to be around, right? You be around like-minded people, and that's why we've been on a call for over a decade. You know, so circling all back around again, like I can be on soapbox, but like I said, I'm not going to be on soapbox today, but I can, but I'm not going to do it. But so just call me back if I'm going on and on. Um, Again, so personally, what happened with me personally was to say, you know what, I need to get rid of anything that is causing me drama, giving me gray hair, that's adding weight to me, that does not allow me to sleep at night. So right now, I'm going to bed like 8:30, 9 o'clock. I'm sleeping. I'm not waking up worrying about XYZ. Because when I put my head down, I say thank you to God. I say thank you to the manifest for giving me another opportunity, and then boom, I'm out. And then when I wake up, as soon before my feet hit the ground, I say a nice little prayer. I say thank you again for allowing me to sleep well, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to make myself better again.
Mhm.
Appreciate it. My feet hit the ground. First thing I do, I make my bed. That's the first thing that I accomplish. One goal. So I'm already winning. So get down, boom, I'm winning because you know what? I did something. I have to put my feet on the ground. So that's task one. Task two, get up, make my bed. So my bedroom is spotless before I even go to the bathroom. Good. Brush my teeth and get myself ready. So I've always knocked out two major things, for that morning. Woke up and my bedroom's clean. I'm winning. I'm winning now. So and anything on top of that is just an added bonus. So when I get to the gym, oh yeah, I'm ready now. So my coach, he put a plan together for me, and I'm doing more weight than I've ever done before. Like my bench, I haven't maxed out yet, but he was telling me what I'm at. He's like, when you're probably at 325 when you're bench. I never hit over 305.
Mm. Even in
And
high
so
school.
yeah,
Wow.
and with ease.
Mm.
re-engineering your mindset, your body, mind, soul. So it's all about re-engineering yourself. But you have like-minded people with you and get on that journey. And the sad thing about this, my brothers and sisters out here, you may have to get rid of some people that we knew since day one. We might have to not to get rid of them. We may have to say, listen, I need you on the sideline. Let's put them on the bench for a second. You still on the team. I still love you. I still roll with you. I still with you.
Yeah.
It's like being the head coach of a football team.
Yeah.
Now this is, to the Atlanta football.
Yep.
Sitting there, doubling down for Jordan, watching that stuff, man. And I thought, going in and out, in and out. So, on the bench so that we can win our own championship.
Mm.
You feel me?
Oh yeah.
To get up to our championship win. So I feel like I got my championship team around.
Yeah.
And, and I love my family, I love everyone else. But, if you're not part of the team, that I'm going to bet you. I'm going to bet you.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Easy to do. I'm put you on the bench. I'm part of someone else's team as well. So guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go back, re-engineer stuff, and come back to whoever team I'm on that needs me. I said, all right, coach, I'm ready to go in.
Yeah.
What you need? I'm go back in. So saying all this because of the business that I started, which is again the muscle release gel. That hey, listen, if some of you guys out here don't want to support me, that's fine. Hopefully you're on this because I'm gonna grab my team that's gonna get me to that championship. So I've already sold since December 2nd, and within my little network, I've already sold probably 30, 40 bottles. And yesterday, I had my very first sell online to a lady up in New York.
Mm.
She's like 50 years old, but she looks like she's like 20. Hold on a second.
Wow. Thunder Dan. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Old.md. Go there now, pretend. You'll see a guy, his name is Mike. The last picture, he's on the squad.
Yeah. See him now here.
Yeah. He is the national for his age and weight for bench and squat.
Wow.
And he's got to work out with here in the morning. And this guy Dan that I just said hello to, he's the guy that helped him out. He's a national holder for bench and no, deadlift and squat. He's a big record holder for bench because he knew he could break the deadlift and squat. Yeah, but just having your team, you know what I mean? Being that coach, getting that coach and letting that coach tell you if someone needs to be bent because you're not doing, with that person not helping you out. Yeah, go on, but what's that song? For the past of money.
Yeah. 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 It's all good, brother. I will say you definitely tapped into something though. Let me see here. There was a little feedback. You definitely did tap into something I think is worth unpacking a little bit. And that's what, and that's whenever you're working on something new, especially when it's something that, and we're going to talk a little bit about this today on the call, is to be able to create your mastermind for that thing. Who do you listen to? Who's your network? Who's your mastermind team for the thing that you're working on? Where are you? Who's the network who is willing to uh, channel their energies to make it great? And it's interesting because you definitely highlighted an area where a lot of times we're not able to distinguish the difference between, a mastermind for a particular objective versus just the people who are in your life, wife, spouse, friends, family, co-workers, if you will, people that you see every day who, on the top of your mind, you say, well, I know these people are going to support me because they love me, but they may not have a clue into the objective that you're working on. So you always have to create a mastermind of folks who not only have been successful or want to see success in that particular area, but are willing to go to work in that area. And I remember, who was it? I can't think of his brother's name right now. But it's one of those situations. It's nothing against anybody else. I've had to do this several times throughout my life, where I knew I was going down a road that I didn't know anybody who could, in my personal life at that particular time, that I could actually, not only get encouragement for, but strategy and competency. I didn't know anybody who could even help me. So I had to dive into that world, had to dive into those networks. And meaning that you have to create a new network just to be successful in certain areas. And it's important that we articulate that, because I can tell you, I've seen folks go down the wrong road in situations like this. I've seen people completely disown good friends and family members because those folks didn't know how to help them. They didn't know how. They didn't have much to lend other than, and I'll tell you, in many ways, and I know we've talked about this before, in many ways, you may have folks who may try to talk you out of it, right? They may say, hey, I see what you're doing. I have no clue, but matter of fact, I know somebody who tried to do something like that, and I love you, so I don't think you should do it. I don't think you should do it because I don't want to see you hurt. And what happened to him or her was horrible. And you shouldn't be doing this kind of thing. And these are people who are coming out of love. But what they're really doing is saying, I've never seen anything like this happen. And I don't want you going down that road just to get hurt. But which means that, yeah, thank you for letting me know that you love me. That's exactly right. That's right. Yeah. Hey, one thing real quick, Dwayne, if you can, because I just posted the website, soul.md, on our social media sites. If you can just kind of, just real quick, give folks just kind of an overview of some of the products that are there that could be beneficial to folks. Um, just real quick. Got it. Got it. Mm,
Business, but not gym like here.
mhm.
So we actually went back to the lab 3 or 4 different times and we changed the formula around. And we tweaked it enough where I gave to one guy, he never called, never texted. He'd leave my phone up and like, Dwayne, what did you guys do this work? I put this on my elbow and it's almost good for 4 hours. I gave
Mm.
to another guy, the guy
Yeah.
You know,
Yikes.
so we have to use a cookie hot. Gave it to him a week later. He goes, "Your stuff's better than cookie hot and I was using for horses. I forget the name of it." I was like, "Why?" He's like, "I can put it on. Let's try it once." And once I buy it, he goes, it works through my top set, my heavy set workout, and my accessories, and I don't have to reapply like 2 to 3 hours. He goes, my workout is good for 3 hours. I buy once, I'm good, and that's it. My coach, I gave him my coach. My coach has actually squatted over 700 pounds.
Mm.
And he goes, yeah, he's a little bit older than my knees. Before I go to bed at night, he goes, I sleep like a baby. My knees felt so good in the morning.
Wow.
So what it is, it's a muscle release joint gel that's anti-inflammatory and also repairs the muscle as well. So
Nice.
again, and Deep, you know me, I never push anything that I don't like or I don't use.
Oh yeah.
Who is out here? Not only am I the president, I'm a user.
Yeah.
Y'all remember from Hair Club for Men, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So quick synopsis: plant-based, completely healthy for you. We're going to the more organic stuff. Now, of course, we have our apparel out there. The hoodies, the sweatshirts, and the hats. Hopefully, within the next 12 months, we're going to have a plant-based energy drink as well. No sugar, so no sugar, nothing that's going to give you that crazy high and that crazy jump as well. It was a nice, easy, steady energy drink for you.
Got it. Man, appreciate that. I put it out there. So folks want to take a second and go to sol.md. Take a look at this. It's a great website. You guys did a great job on this, man. So two people jumped to my head was my dad and your aunt Carol Jean, because I know they're definitely every other conversation. And what's interesting, because we were out, so as you know, Dwayne, that started getting back into the rhythm of working out this week. And the first day, because I think I took completely the month of December off. I think it was sinuses were killing me the whole line. Man, I got out there on the first day and I was like, my entire body, every joint I have was like, what are you doing? I was like, leave me alone. Yeah.
If you drink the water, in the morning, my breakfast I got this organic cottage cheese,
Oh
granola,
wow.
blueberries, and mandarin orange with a little bit of honey.
Oh
That's
wow.
my breakfast every day.
Cottage cheese.
Yep, cheese, dude. With granola, blueberries, and a little bit of mandarin orange with topped with just a little bit of honey for that sweetness. And then I do, and all my stuff I get is all organic. And then for lunch, I do avocado toast with an egg. So I'm doing like organic wheat bread, organic eggs, and organic avocado. And I put a little bit of pepper in there, and I'm going to fill up a bowl with a little bit of Old Bay and too. Yeah, sometimes I throw a little bit of cheese on there, depends, if I feel. But if I had a good workout, I throw cheese on it. But if I did not, no cheese. And that's my lunch. And then I do my protein, chicken or fish, and my veggies.
How do you feel? How do you feel? And I'm asking that question. How do you feel? Not only just more so from how does your body feel, but mentally, and even emotionally, if you will. How do you feel about this new process that you're going through? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
we do before we get most things done before 9 a.m. and most people do all day.
That's right. Yeah.
So now, like, so normally just my routine. Like, I get home about 7:30ish if I don't have to go to the grocery store. I get showered, clean up, have my lunch. I can start work at 8:15, 8:30. Start my job that's paying me to finance my other business.
Got it.
8:30, and I can take
Uh-huh.
Because I'll say this because my grandmother told my dad told me this. There ain't nothing open past 11 o'clock but 7-Eleven and legs. What the fuck is being up past 11 o'clock? There's no reason.
7-Eleven and legs. Yeah. I love it.
Get done in the morning before anybody wakes up. So not disturbing. This is my time. We all need more time.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Get me right because my mind's already full right. So the answer to your question, how I'm doing? Oh, dude, I'm great. I'm feeling good. And I'm down 3 notches. Count 1, 2, 3 notches on my weightlifting belt.
Wow.
That's an inch and a half around my waist.
Yeah. Dwayne, how'd you do that?
Anything that is changing what I'm putting, I'm putting good fuel and food in my body.
Yeah.
D3, we as brothers and sisters, we need D3. I put D3, so I got my vitamin C from the orange, D3, and I got my potassium from a banana, so my muscles don't cramp up. And then I drink water. Boom. That's my energy in the morning. Workout. D3 and banana and water. And my legs not cramping. Don't forget, I pulled my Achilles tendon. Dislocated my shoulder. I broke my ankle. Guess what? Yeah, people are shocked that I'll be 53 in April. People look at me like, you don't look 50. And I'm throwing up weight. I'm doing this. And then a couple guys are like, whoa. And they're like, yeah, well, my dad's 52. My dad's 55. You don't look nothing like you. I said, no. I said, your dad needs to be in here. I said, yeah, my dad would never come in here. So, guess what? So, the saying is this. I would rather be in the gym.
See?
I would rather be the oldest guy in the gym than the youngest guy in the old age home.
Understood. Understood.
You catch me in the wheelchair and something crazy.
Something happens. No, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, sir. So, by the way, I told you these. I'm on that bus today. I know you're ready, bro. Today, these I told you.
I didn't try to push you off either, brother. I let you.
Hey, listen, you ready to have a soul fit day today, let me tell you. Because after this, I'm getting cleaned up, then I'm driving to Atlantic City for my daughter's volleyball tournament. She knows the energy I'm going to bring. She knows the energy I'm gonna.
She knows.
She's like, Dad, are you? I was like, you know me, I'm gonna stand in the corner. She's like, I know.
We dad.
Yep, get it in.
Oh, that's all good, man. That's all good. Hey, well, this is great, man. I wanted you to be able to articulate everything. I mean, because the truth is, we saw you at the beginning of last year make those initial decisions, which is why I was really trying to get you to talk just a little bit about. And you did it uh, about that mind shift. This time last year, there was a clear mind shift, and then the application of the execution and the work that you've done, which has now led to a whole business that is part of the lift this year, right? And so it's unbelievable what happens when you just flip a switch in your brain, and next thing you know, a whole new lifestyle is there. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. Hey. I assume that was the case. I didn't hear as much, but at the end of the day, it sounds great. What was coming out of your mouth now sounds great, and the activity that you're putting out there. The websites that I've had saw a couple people click the website, so that's great. Definitely, I'm going in and get some products today, sir. So we want to go in and just really. I know all of us, we're all working out, so we're gonna have joint issues and muscle issues, so we may as well have the good stuff ready to go to help us when we're trying to get our body back in motion. So appreciate you putting us on, man. Mike D, got it. All right, Mike D. Good deal. 10%. I need it. All right. All right. I love it, man. Love it. Thank you for kicking us, man. Getting us going today. I know we're getting pretty close to 8 o'clock here, but I want to take a second. Let's open up the call. Anybody who wants to just take a second, tell us, just give us a reflection on 2023. What you learned in 2023. If you're willing to share, we'll open up the call now. Yeah. Mm, mm, mm. Oh, yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to getting a chance to connect with you, brother Larry. Man, I'll tell you, this is that proverb is definitely on spot on, or I would say probably the core of this particular network. It's nothing like having a network of folks who are supporting you. It's a challenge a lot of times. A lot of times we have trust issues because we don't know who's really you know, supporting us, who's really down for us. Somebody may have a motive that may not be in line with what we're trying to accomplish. And I can confidently say over the past almost 12 years now, this network has done nothing but support each other, and really wanting to help to unpack what it is that what it is that each other's trying to do and why. A lot of times when we have goals that we're pursuing, I'm always curious as to how did it become a goal? Who and what put it in your mind to say you should be pursuing this? Which really outlines if this is something you should really pursue or not. So well, I'm doing this because I saw my man down the street and he was doing it and it seems to be working for him, kind of thing. Say, okay, well, let's unpack that further. Or, this is something I've wanted to do so long. I had a conversation with my grandmother, 40 years ago, and it's been in the back of my mind and I never pushed it. it's always good to get back to the heart and the reasons why we do things. And so I can just share, for those who are on the call now, who will hear this later, there's nothing better than having a supportive network who is there who not only to support you from encouragement and strategy, but at the same time, they're doing the same thing. And it gives you an opportunity to learn what you know and understand, even if it's just a prayer to someone else as they are pursuing their goals. That the law of giving and receiving plays a huge role in not only what we're doing and trying to accomplish our own personal goals, but that fact of being uh, given without any without conditions is the word I was looking for, like that unconditional type of support, giving without conditions. That kind of support is what I've received from this network and collectively. So we appreciate you, brother, and we look forward to working with you and connecting with you throughout the rest of the year. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else want to jump in and highlight what they've learned from 2023? The big takeaway, the big lesson. We'll take a second to open up the call now. Brother Morris. Brother Morris.
Few things happened for me in 2024.
In 2024.
Your gifts, utilizing your gifts, utilizing your gifts it's a three feeling. Children,
Yeah.
It's in you your gifts, especially if you haven't really been utilizing them.
Yeah.
And to get to that should be a goal if you're not already, utilizing your gifts, if you're not in your gifts. Just to look forward and use it. You can put money to it. A lot of people say, "Oh, you starting your gift." Use your gifts, make the money, do all that. Some stuff works, but just to use it is a feeling that we all should have. And if you're not using it, and that might be part of the reason why you feel the way you feel.
Yeah.
Because you're missing out on a very important thing in your life, and that's feeling. And then we're adults. You can figure out ways to monetize it or whatever you want to do with it, or just do whatever. But yeah, I did learn that in 23. But you're not really using it, and when you do get opportunities, you're like, man, that felt good.
Yeah.
I need more of that.
Yeah.
The other thing I learned in 2023 was about it was kind of a foggy year, and the awareness piece. So you get awareness from two places. One, you can get it from meditation and clearing your mind, and two, you can get it from just pain. Something crazy happens, something bad happens, you get aware real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Put your hands on your back. Awareness, 2023, even more so. I think in 22, I work my rituals, my meditation, and I get my awareness together for that clarity. But when you move away from that, the awareness gets fuzzy, and it makes it more difficult to navigate, especially the important things. And for me, it creates a scenario where the overthinking happens because you're not as aware, because you're not clear, because you haven't tuned your awareness to the direction you need to go. I know it's a little esoteric, but that was something that I picked up in 2023 that was kind of missing in 2023. So those are two things, you know. So 20 for the second blessing, and it's only right that this man seeing his head.
Yeah.
He yet again, has got his purpose. He's got like this room. He just has a room. You know what I'm saying? He's just going around and he sees people like, yo, get in, taking you to the house.
Get in. That's a good point.
If these are myself and other people just all the time like, yeah, come shit with them. You know what I'm saying? And then we begin to develop this relationship, these beautiful relationships.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The only person I'm sure that's a new person to the time right now. I know there might be others, but you know, we like spoke up. So is that hope that, you know, in 2024, y'all can just be on the call in the morning, you know, being quiet, saying, okay, it's 7, I'm gonna be out this gate at 8, got a little time, I'm not gonna be able to be productive, so I'm gonna shade. I'm gonna take the shade. So you know that you can be sitting there in the mirror with no shirt on, you know, you drawing, you shaving, you know, putting your cream on your head or whatever, and listening to Dwayne talk about being in the gym.
Yeah. This is called work. And, you know, sometimes it's for the good. You know, you drive and you feel so great and you so motivated to make something happen. And other times it's for the, like that awareness piece. It's like, yo, you got it. The universe is telling you right now, to a very important person in a direct line. You know, get your shit right. Yeah.
Get your shit together. Because this is important. So that's what I learned in 2024. That if you want to solidify what you need to do, just go ahead on the call with no shirt on and listen to Wayne about, you know.
That's for real.
A couple about the hell that I got you to do. I'll see you on Monday. We good. So I'm feeling great. This is a great beginning of the call. I'm happy with the way it's going.
I love it. Oh, well, you got us to 8:00, man. You got us to 8:00. This is jump on in.
Was supposed to be pouring from the saucer, not from the cup, from the overflow. And so for me, that was a huge reset. That was actually given to me at the end of 2022. And I took that for 2023 and recognized how easily it is for me to give stuff away, but not taking enough from myself. And so this past year, I was forced to be quiet. I broke my leg like the second week of January. And so I was really forced to sit down somewhere. And it was tumbling in the mud. But it just made me understand, like, even more so the connectivity of it. Because as I was being forced to sit down, I was beginning the yoga certification training. And that forced me to really focus in on the other 7 limbs of yoga versus the asana practice. And it helped me see, like, it put so many things in perspective for me. And so just living it, learning it and living it, and being forced into a different space at the same time just grew me in a whole nother level. But it really came back to taking care of me first. I was planning on taking stuff to Africa. I was like, I ain't taking nobody no goddamn way. You took everything. And that's who I am. It's like, do what I need to do for me first. And then once I have it, then I can reach back. But I've been so busy feeding other people that I'm hungry. But I'm not taking. And so that has been the reset for right now. I had to put my mom in her face like, look, lady, I'm trying to do so much. At some point, you got to do for you. So just really being honest about that so that I'm not doing out of obligation or out of resentment because I feel like the only way to truly give is out of love. And I didn't find myself doing things out of love, but out of obligation. And I felt myself becoming resentful towards people that I truly do love because I hadn't been taking care of myself. And so that's been the change for this past year and moving that into 2024 as I can now walk and do other things, rebuilding still, working through physical therapy, and really making sure that I'm doing everything I need to do for myself physically and mentally, emotionally, and spiritually so that I can serve at the capacity that God has called me to serve.
Now, you said something that I wanted to definitely dive in on a little bit because I think it is so important. You talked about giving out of quote unquote obligation um, versus giving out of love. And I just talked about what Deepak Chopra calls the law of giving and receiving, and which is the giving without conditions. And I think that the way you articulated, I think it's important for us to really think about everybody um, is especially if we are giving out of quote unquote obligation. And if it's lined up with your spirit, which means you're giving out of love, then there's nothing else that you're expecting in return. You're just participating in the flow of the law that you're giving. But when you're giving, because if I don't do it, who else gonna do it? Like kind of thing, you know. If I don't do it, who else gonna do it? If I don't do it, they're gonna think I'm not caring. I don't. I think you're hitting the right tone right now because it can't be about that because it leads to resentment. You know, it leads to a place that you don't want to go. That's going to throw off your energies and it's going to put you outside of the natural love space that you really want to be in. And that's more than talk. That's much more difficult, especially for people who are, my wife is like that, you know, who um that definitely has the spirit of service, but there is you always know when you're outside of service and now you're into quote unquote obligation, or and then once you leave obligation, it leads to resentment, as you said. And so we just have to understand and be able to measure when we're going outside, when our giving and our acts and our work is going outside of our natural flow of giving, our natural space, and into something that could become problematic. And to be bold enough to articulate that's where you are. That's something for all of us to be able to know, especially for the people. And I know a lot of you guys on this call who are just natural givers, to be able to be honest and bold and be okay with what comes out of your mouth, right? Especially if you're being honest and bold um, in terms of your giving and not wanting it to become something that well you're supposed to be. No. It's like I tell my daughter, I'm not supposed to do nothing but stay black and die. So I ain't supposed to do nothing, but if I am giving, it's because I'm my spirit led to give. And once I'm outside of that spirit led giving, then it could become problematic. And we just have to know that. And for some people who are very, I had to have my coffee this morning, so my words aren't as clear. But for some people who are selfless, there we go. If it's people who are selfless, it's hard for them to get to that point. and said, but I have to do that. This is who I am, kind of thing. For the purposes of this call, where we can talk about personal development in an honest way, we want to make sure that we do have our own internal measuring stick that is letting us know how close are we? Are we still in the lane of love in our giving and our acts? Or are we seeping into the obligation, giving out of obligation, which, as you said, I'm glad you used the word resentment, because you do giving out of obligations for too long, then you're gonna be given, and it will be a lot of resentment, right? So thank you for highlighting that. And that's why I like when people are just honest and talk about where you are for real, because it does open up lessons that we all going through and we just didn't know how to articulate. Appreciate you, sister.
Byron?
Oh, there we go. A real sister. I know that voice.
Okay. Shut up. Happy New Year, everybody. Everybody haven't said anything in a year on the call.
Yeah, that's right. 2 years. There we go.
Basically, inject life into me. But I will say this. I am Santa. I am that person that 2023 disconnecting and didn't realize that's what I was doing until later in the year. I was disconnected from everything that was draining me. Everything because I'm that person that will pour in and pour in and pour in and think that that's what I'm supposed to do, and have been doing it. I don't know if it's middle child syndrome, just I'm made that way. But it's just pouring into everything and everybody, making sure everything and everybody else is okay, and not necessarily being poured into myself. Or if I'm being poured into, I don't know how to receive it. But in the meantime, I spent the past year just kind of disconnecting, cutting off, releasing myself from everything that was not serving me well. Not caring, and I didn't realize it. I think I asked my friend back in the summer, and I asked her, I said, can I be dismissive? And she was like, if it's something you don't care about, she said that thing and that person or whatever it is dead to you. And I didn't realize that about myself until the summer. Because if it's once I've given enough and I woke up, my eyes open, as they say, the scales have been removed from my eyes, and I can see that I have given all, and it is not serving me. That becomes dead to me, and it was like I never knew it. I have never been a part of it. I can disconnect from it and never care about it again. But I have to thank you guys for the call, because even though I didn't say anything for a whole year, I listened and I paid attention, and I was trying my best to just get back in the swing of things. I would want to do something, but I also learned something about myself. I don't think I've had, and it's been many years since I've 100% just threw myself into something and been totally committed to it. So I take baby steps. Apparently, Dwayne can just throw himself out there and become Superman and overnight. But I take baby steps because I have to test the water. And I'm cautious. I can't help it. I'm a Capricorn. And we stand out there and I test that. I put a little something down. I pat it down and I make sure I'm on solid ground. But I appreciate that when the team is, especially the fitness team, is posting every day saying what they did. I may not say what I did, but if I took more steps than I did the day before, I'm happy about it. If I decided to invest in me and monitor what I ate that day and made sure I stayed within my calorie deficit. And my sister and I started doing what our sister. We started doing that over the course of the latter part of the year, so like fourth quarter of the year. And since October, I was able to get down like 29 pounds. And it was just because we took the time to actually put some focus, put some time in, and make it about ourselves, our needs. Because in a week from yesterday, I'll be 55 years old. And I can't let myself be in a position to not be able to care for myself and provide for myself and live my life to the fullest. I'm just getting to the good years.
Yeah.
You know, all the years before is where you cared about what other people thought and what other people needed. No, it's all about me. Excuse me. It's all about me now, and living for me, and living. And if I live for me, and I'm well, and I'm whole, and I'm happy, everybody around me is gonna be happy, because that's just who I am. It's my light shining, and if my light is shining, it's gonna beam on everybody that's in my face. So I appreciate the callers. I appreciate the team. I appreciate everybody on the call. I understand that you keep doing what you're doing, because you have no idea. Every time you give me a reason to keep going. And I'm gonna get on off now.
We can hang up now. The call's over. That was.
Here. You know, every once in a while we talk to you individually. This was not an overnight process. This was like a 2-year, 2.5-year process. And I'm going those steps with you. I'm walking to the mailbox with you. You know, we are a community, right? So let's not forget that, everybody. We are a community, all right?
Love it. Love it. You know, Bonnie, you said something that I think is, and I've shared this with somebody else, but for people like you who are givers and supporters of other people and are committed to that lifestyle, if you will, and always giving and neglecting yourself, it's for whatever reason, there's something in your brain that will say, you know what, if I focus on myself, that's a bad thing. And for people who are like you in that spirit, even if you do take a little bit of time for yourself, because of your makeup, it's still going to benefit other people. And I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people don't get to that point, who are people who are givers by obligation or love. It starts in love and it leads to obligation. People who just are natural givers, and many times don't get to what you just said. Don't get to the point to say, you know what, if I focus on myself, it's only going to benefit. I shouldn't say only, but other people are also going to benefit, which is what givers want anyway. But they don't focus on themselves because I don't want to seem like I don't care about other people and I'm just self-centered. And so the fact that you finished off your statement with, I know if I focus on myself, other people will benefit, means you're there. You're already there. Now it just goes back to what Dwayne was saying. It's all execution now, because mentally and emotionally you're there. And I can just tell you, by talking to a lot of folks who are just the salt of the earth, and they are willing to help and support everybody and everything, it's hard for folks who are like that to get to the point that they can say, you know what, I can just go inward, if you will, to lift and focus on the personal development within myself, because I know it's going to add value to all these people I'm giving and supporting right now. So that part means, you know, it was the icing on the cake when I heard you say that. And so again, now it's just, what does it look like to actually work on yourself? That, and being able to articulate that and create a practical lifestyle that says, this is what it means to work on myself. I do this in the morning, I do that. Like even Dwayne was talking about earlier. And actually, I remember when Dana used to say this years back, is, you know, if you can make up your bed before you even go into the bathroom in the mornings, your brain digests the spirit of accomplishment. You've accomplished something. It's now you did it. Your brain says, "Wow, I did that," and it wants more. So it wants to go to, okay, what else can I accomplish today? And just get into that rhythm. And so it's always good to make a decision, but then how do we execute on a decision? What does the practical day-to-day, step-by-step, minute-by-minute process looks like, so you can get in a rhythm of investing in you? And what does that look like? How does it make you feel? Just being able to outline what the next steps are, because decisions are great. The execution is better. And I want us to be able to, you know, really take that in because it's so hard for folks to even make a decision, right? To say, you know what, I'm doing this going forward. It's hard for people to get to that point. Most people live in the world of, I'd like to do this. I'd like to do X, Y, and Z. One day I'm going to do this, that, and the other. To get to a point to say, I'm doing this, that's hard for most people. The real part is, today I did this, which was the first step to accomplishing that goal. I also did that, which was the next step to accomplish that goal. Then I did that, and so just being able to add the practical, tactical strategy with the decision. And so I love that. And so actually this kind of is a great segue into what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. And I think, when we look at 2024, I want us to be at least able to go into the new year with an outline of how to address the things that matter to you. And sometimes it's hard because there's just so many different things. I had an opportunity with Associated Black Charities a couple of weeks ago at the Lewis Museum to talk about wealth management at a men's night out event. So it was about over 100 brothers at the Lewis Museum, and they had someone who talked about health. I talked about wealth, and there was someone who came in and talked about mental health, which was a powerful day. I wish we were doing that much more often. But what's so interesting, I talked a little bit about and focusing on wealth using the cash flow quadrant model, which is all the various quadrants where you make money. So you make your money as an employee in the E quadrant. You can make money as a self-employed person in the S quadrant. You can earn income and revenue in the B quadrant as a business owner, and in the I quadrant as an investor. And so to be able to take a step back and at least paint the picture of quadrants. And so after that day, I thought about this whole quadrant model and how it makes me feel comfortable in thinking about organizing of goals and objectives. And so the area that, especially on the wealth management side, is trying to figure out how can we get to exponential growth? How can we get to an area that we know and understand, we can invest in and create growth? And knowing that you still have all the other things that are important to you, your day-to-day rat race, if you will. And so one thing I wanted to kind of point out for us today is when we look at what's called, quote unquote, the growth quadrant. And that growth quadrant, and I want us to think about this in two ways. One, growth relative to your money and assets, and how do we grow that part of your portfolio? How do we take it to the next level? The things that you know and understand, how do we apply that to create and increase your financial position? So I want us to talk and think about that. But I also want us to think about it from a personal perspective. What areas of our life do we want to grow? Do we want to become better at? Do we want to spend more time doing because it adds value to our life? And it's something worth really just slowing down and thinking about. Excuse me. As we know we're all busy, we're all responsible, we all have things, we have jobs, we have families, we have all these things that we have to do. But if we just stop for a second and just kind of stay still for a second and just think about in your life, what is that thing, what is that area of your life that you truly enjoy? And if you had more time, you would do that. You would spend more time doing it. I want you to think about what that thing is and why it actually does that for you. Just take some time and think about what is the thing that gives you joy, that gives you passion, that gets you excited. For me, I can just kind of outline, this is it. This is a form of networking. I love networking. Networking, not for the purpose of just saying, hey, I got a chance to meet somebody. But it is, for me, this is a form of ministry. So to be in a position where you can connect with someone, but then at the same time get to know them. And what I mean by get to know where they are, what their goals are, and what the challenges are, what they feel like is a barrier, and be in a position to introduce something that may address what they may have given up on. They may have said, you know what, I'm just okay with the fact of knowing that I'll never be able to get past this hump. This is a hump that I'll die with. And then all of a sudden, some guy showed up and said, well, you don't have to give up. There are other options. Can you imagine? Like that it's something that you actually, in your mind, you know, there was something that you just knew you were going to go to the grave with. There was no getting over it. And all of a sudden somebody walked up and said, well, maybe not. Maybe there's another option. I know a guy, I met this lady, I had a situation, and boom, just like that, that big barrier, that big mountain is now not really a big deal anymore. And what that does for somebody's how it makes things that would seem to be impossible now possible, and what happens when that kind of revelation and wall has now been removed. So for me, being able to spend more time and to grow and expand those kind of opportunities is something that I want to spend my time doing, because it makes me feel a certain way. It gives me purpose. It gives me excitement. It makes me say, you know what, I can wake up a little more excited today because there's another opportunity to do that again. I want each of us to just take some time, and it doesn't have to be just on this call, but even after the call, throughout the rest of this month, to think about what are those areas in your life that you want to dive into. You really want to, you just haven't had time to do it. You didn't really have the capacity, didn't have the right people around, or whatever the case may be. And it could very well be an area that you just may have even given up on, even though you loved it, you really want to spend time doing it. We want to incorporate that back into your life. And so let's just look at this from a time perspective and the priorities. You have your faith, your family, your community, the things that you're spending, your job, things that you're doing. Get back into the quadrant lane. I think about things in fours. I know I have to always focus on, for me to be of value to the people in my life and my family and everybody, I have to stay in rhythm and relationship with my faith. Because if I don't, then I'm not going to be the person that they would even want to be around anyway. So faith plays a big role in my day to day, so I can be of value to the people who are around me. Family, and being able to be, not just, quantity, but quality, and trying to articulate and understand what does quality really mean, and giving to the people who you care about. It's one thing to say, well, I'm a dad, so I'm putting food on the table and keeping the lights on, keeping the house lit up and warm, and you got provision. That's one thing. But then that in your mind, you can check the box and say, yes, I'm doing that. But at the same time, I have a daughter who's growing up, right? And a lot of things are changing in her life. And from then, and we look at these, we have this running reel of pictures that pops up on a console where we see just a couple of years ago, she didn't look like the girl she is now. So things are moving fast, right? And to ask questions in a way that doesn't seem too parental, if you will, but to just try to connect in a way that could possibly add some value to her life at that stage. I remember when I was 12, right? And there's a lot of stuff happening, so just to be able to have an honest conversation. But for me, trying to find quality in those conversations, and the same thing, with my wife, even with friends, and trying to figure out how do we get into a more quality relationship. So we know that these are things that we are involved in and committed to. I actually had to, even in the community, I pulled away from a community organization I'm involved in because I took a look at this year and said, if I'm really going to be of value to this group, I'm going to need to do X, Y, and Z. And I know I'm not going to be able to do that because I'm applying energy and time to these things. And so just having those kind of honest conversations as to, yeah, I can be here, I can be a wallflower, but why do you even, I'm not adding any value. So if I'm not adding any value, I should remove myself because, we all know those folks who are involved on paper, but they're not really helping with the strategic objective of whatever you're working on. So having those kind of conversations. But I want to make sure that as we're looking at our priorities for the year, how we're spending our time, the things that we're doing, that we are not, well, let me not say it that way, that we are including the areas that provide value to you. And Bonnie, in this case, this is how you can invest in yourself. The things that get you going, the things that get you excited, the things that would add, and whether it could be a combination of financial growth and personal growth at the same time. I try to mix in as much of that as possible, but it has to be a growth area for you. It has to be an area that you find passion in, that you enjoy. Because if you don't, then it's just another year in a rat race. It's another year. It's Groundhog's Day. You wake up, do the same thing. You wake up, you do the same thing. You wake up, do the same thing, and it's like, what are we doing? I was having a conversation with a client yesterday or day before yesterday, and he talked about how his uncle, grew up in the projects, spent 20 years in prison, got out of prison, went back into, kind of government assistance, back in the projects, and is now in his 70s. And it's just like, and the mindset that he has is that. And I was listening to him tell this story, and I was just sitting there thinking to myself, like, man, he's now in his 70s, and at what point, and this life is almost over. It's like, at what point did he say, I enjoyed this, or I got what I felt like there was some level of passion involved in this life. I mean, there's so much, this life has so much to offer. And, and we can say, well, there are a lot of people who are definitely victims of circumstance. And that is very true. But I just, something hit my spirit as he was telling that story. And, and I just start thinking about, man, we have to not neglect the things that we know we're passionate about. We can't make other things more important because time is not slowing down. It's moving. I mean, we were just in 2023. Now we're in a whole other year. Like, what happened? It seems like we just watched a ball drop. Like, so we were just going through COVID in 2020, right? Like, what's happening? Time is not slowing down. So we may as well put more energy and time and focus into the things that I call your growth quadrant. And for me, because it helps me to organize my thoughts, my time, my energies, that if I can at least say that 25% of my time is being invested into the things that I'm passionate about. And then you break that down. So, okay, well, what is that? If that means, I'm going to now host more events like this, find more opportunities to connect with people that are looking to, take nothing and create something. They're at a point, and it goes back to, for me personally, can I be of value? And so where are the areas that I believe I can provide value? And you start outlining, okay, whether it's personal development or professional networking or financial management or wealth management or business development, and outlining what are the value areas for yourself. What are those areas that you can add value? I love the first time I heard Joe Haskins, the founder of Harbor Bank, say to invest in things that you know and understand. And everybody has that. It doesn't matter who you talk to. Everybody has something that they know and that they understand. There's meat to that. There's something confident and solid in that, and it's worth seeing that further. If you know something and you understand it, that could be a solid base for something you should probably grow. You should probably grow that. You should probably grow it from a business perspective. You should probably grow it from a personal time that you're investing your time in. That's something you should probably grow, because if you know it and you understand it, you can more than likely teach it and market it to people who need it. They either need that information, they need that service, they need that product, they need your unique experience and twist on it. And that's why we talk about competition. I don't believe it's a thing of competition. Everybody brings something unique to the table. And what's unique, there's a demand for what you know and understand and your unique twist. There are a host of in the world of financial advisory. There's so many wealth managers across the world, but everybody brings a certain thing that's unique. And even for me, I have a unique goal around a target market. I get more excited about working with certain groups than I do other groups. And so I spend all my time working in one group, but that's not my passion group. Am I giving my all if I'm working in this other group? And the question is, why am I spending my time in this other group when I know I want to be over here? And so we have to begin to unpack what it is that we feel like we're here to do. For the purposes of this call, where we're focused on personal development, that we want to get a bit granular, if you will. One, we want to know what is it that we know and understand? And if we know and understand it, are we passionate about growing it? Now, I'll tell you, I've had several conversations, even with a lot of folks who are on this call, who know and understand things, but they don't want to spend time in it. They don't want to spend time in it for whatever reasons. For whatever reasons, like, I did that, I'm already going to something. Well, my point to that is that it's important for us to, when we talk about what we know and understand, you have to unpack that too. Because it could be that you were in a certain business and you knew and understood that business, but you don't want to do that business anymore. But there's the underlying aspect of how you are successful in that you could lend to something else. We don't want to go too far away from the things that we know and understand, primarily because even if we're starting something new, can we bring the things that we're confident in, the things that we know that we could lend to it, the value that we can bring? Can we bring that to something new? And that's the question that we have to ask. I had another conversation recently. This is the other part I enjoy about networking and connecting with people, is to try to get them to articulate what, number one, their value. But then in the conversation, you can pick up on what they're talented at, right? And so, yeah, you ever met someone who just loves to dance around the thing that they really should be doing? Just running in circles around the things that they could really do. Those kind of situations. and so I think it's worth us spending some time, over the next week, throughout the rest of the month, to get to know and unpack the things that you know and understand. And ask yourself, is this something I want to grow? Is this something I want to develop? Is this something I think I could do more of? And if I can, why? Who am I trying to reach and why? what am I trying to accomplish and why? Like, have those kind of interpersonal conversations with yourself. Bring in a particular network, just like Bonnie mentioned, that she asked someone about, do you think I'm this? Do you think I'm that? Make sure when you're asking those questions, especially if it's in a target area, that it's definitely a network that you trust, but it's also people who may have some, who've been through a similar situation, who has, you know, done some of the things that you're headed in a particular direction, maybe in their own world, but you're creating your own new mastermind. As our team we're talking about earlier, uh, for this new thing, for the new objective, for the growth area. I would love for us to take 2024 and just make a commitment to growth. I remember last year when the new year started, my motto for 2023 was no excuses. It was no excuses. And I had some key things that I really needed to accomplish in 2023, or it was going to be some trouble. I just moved back to Florida, and there were a lot of things happening, and there was a lot of uncertainty in 2023 that I needed to make certain fast. so, and and personal development gave me the confidence to say no excuses and go after the things that I knew were vulnerable. And we think about the financial aspect, the business aspect, the relationship aspect, to attack the areas that I knew were vulnerable and needed to be solidified quickly. If we're not actively working on ourselves, and when I say working on ourselves, meaning, getting access to the growth areas of your life, communicating with mentors, as Dwayne talked about, meeting people who have done what you're trying to do and associating with them in whatever way possible. Staying in the books, keeping, like I mentioned, the cash flow quadrant. This is for me, from a financial and business consulting perspective, this book is almost like the Bible in terms of business consulting. That book is important. One of my other favorites, The Black Titan, A.G. Gatson. If when you have a model of an entrepreneur, if you're an entrepreneur, who's your model and why? If you have a goal that you're pursuing, who is the example and why? If Oprah Winfrey and what she did is your model, why is she your model? What about her life and the way she built her business, the way she communicates, what about it lines up with what you're trying to do? We have to make a decision, have a big goal, and then get practical as fast as you can. And then stand tall on what it is that you know and understand. And like Jim Rohn says, study, practice, and teach, and just stay in application mode. Even if you're going to take baby steps, that's cool too. You don't have to dive out and just in the sharks and say I can fend off all these sharks. You don't have to do that. But regardless of what kind of steps we're taking, it needs to be progressive steps toward growth. And when we talk about growth, whether it be an investment growth or growth in your life and progress, it is worth measuring. Are we hoping to, what are our expected rates of return? We're looking for 5% growth, 10% growth, 20%. Are we trying to do multiples? What type of growth are we willing to pursue? And just be comfortable with what you're pursuing. But I want us to really dive in and embrace growth in areas that you're passionate about. And I want to also double down again. If you know it and understand it, just know that that's a value point. Don't run away from the things that you know and understand, because the way I see it is that you can add value there. And the bigger point is that there's somebody who needs you to teach them that. There's somebody out there who needs you to be able to communicate what you know and understand, and boom, the light bulb goes off for them. Wow, nobody's ever said it to me that way. I didn't know that point that you made actually exists. I didn't know that was a thing. Everybody's always taught it to me this way, but you just said something that I didn't know was even an option. So I don't want us to, downplay for whatever reason that we may have swept our talents under the rug, right? I don't want us to downplay that because it is valuable. And not only could it add value to your bottom line, and when I say bottom line, I mean your financial bottom line and your peace of mind bottom line, your passion bottom line, but it also could be everything for that person who's looking, who's searching, who all they wanted is just to hear what you know. And I had to get to a point, and this was probably early in our network, 10 years ago, maybe even before then, to get to a point to say, it's not about me. And as soon as I can make it about other people, and for me, I'm kind of wired that way, that if it's just about me, I'll give up on me quick. If it's just me, yeah, I'll give up. But as soon as I'm thinking that a decision I made will hurt somebody else, or vice versa, a decision I'm getting ready to make will add value to somebody else, I'm all in. I said, let's go. Let's go. And some of you may not be wired that way. Some of you, who cares about other people? But if you're wired in a way of service, if service matters, if sharing and impacting somebody else's life matters, then you should use that strategy to say, okay, you know what? Let me double down on this because I'm positive if somebody hears what I have to say, it can add value to their life. And I think we should be at a point in our, I probably wouldn't say this in other groups, if you will, but for the purposes of this call and the folks we're talking to now and the people who are dialing in later may hear this and they may not have ever listened to a call like this that's focused on personal development. I'm here to say that the things that you've identified as valuable that you bring to the table is something you should stand tall on and give it to as many people as you can. That's what this is about. It's about you being confident in who you are and what you know, what you understand, and the value it's going to bring to somebody else. And I can tell you, the more you do it, the more it's going to elevate you. You don't even have to try to get positions and people, they go through all types of sneaky stuff just to get elevated. You ain't got to do that. You don't have to do any of that. All you have to do is trust the law of giving and receiving. Give it, as we talked about earlier, give without conditions. And that, as Tysana mentioned earlier, if you're giving without conditions, you're giving in love, in the spirit of love. You're not allowing yourself to get into the obligation space, but you're focused on giving because you know it's part of the flow. The things that you know and understand, you're doing it because it's part of the flow. All those other things that in the back of your mind, you hope that you get awards, promotions, all these various things that are available in this life, you're going to get it. If you're true to yourself and being faithful to the things that you know and understand and the value that you bring, all that stuff is going to come. You're going to get it. It's just part of how it works. It's a law. It's a universal law. You just have to know it works. And so I wanted to share that, and I'm hoping that as many of you as possible will also embrace 2024 as the year of growth. And if you make that decision that this is the year of growth, and as I'm approaching it as the year of growth from a time and money perspective. Growth meaning I'm investing more of my time into the growth areas of my life, the areas that I believe that I can give back more, the areas that will lift me, and the areas that I think about say that God will smile more because I'm doing it, because he gave me the abilities to do it. And I'm now doing more of that, and not getting sidetracked by the variousness of what things to get involved in this life, but to do what it is I believe I'm here to do, and do more of that, and not less in 2024, but to do more of that. And then at the same time, from a money perspective, from an asset perspective, to invest in those areas that I know that I can actually apply and it can grow, because I'm bringing what I know and understand, and it can grow, it can increase. 2023 was the test case for me personally, was the test case. So, I think I can do this. Let me try and see what happens. The year ended. I look back, it's like, it worked. But it only worked because I made the decision and started and built the model around it and said, let's go. Let's start working on that. Let's start building that. And that concept is there for everybody. Anybody who's willing to make a decision to invest in the things that they know and understand and take it to market. And just know that you're going to be all good. Just know that it's going to work, especially if you continue to study, to practice, to teach and preach what it is that you know and understand, and take that to the market. People will buy. They will buy, they will participate, they will want more. And you just have to be confident and know that that's the case. So I'm off my soapbox, but I want to make sure that the spirit of growth has been sown into this particular call, and that we can we can walk away saying, this is the year I grow. This is the year I grow exponentially. This is the year that marginal growth that I've done year over year comes to an end, that I've actually made the decision to invest in me and take what I know and understand to the next level, reach more people, and impact your bottom line in a way that you've never done it. I'm confident that that's the piece. This year, I am more fired up about this than I've ever been. And anyone who's part of this network this year, who's willing to dive in on this growth concept, and I should say this growth objective, will also see it as well. So with that, we'll open up the call. Anybody have any questions, comments, thoughts about this whole topic of creating a growth objective for 2024? We'll take a second to open up the call now. There it is.
6 minutes. 6 minutes. So the good thing about today, and I guess you talking about this thing right, is I did have a chance to just, sit down and pull the notepad out and really dig into the call, and what we got from it.
Mm-hmm.
And what you were saying, and it really started with what Tom Santa laid out, and how you pulled that, and how it was, and then Ronnie's always, I mean, whole life, all that, but like all of the things, the tone of her voice or whatever it is, there's something about when she comes on, it hits you, gives you, it just wakes me up. But the first time, what Tom Santa said, that service versus servitude, being that service stuff, get off and
yeah. Servitude.
Like that slavery piece where you serving and then you I had a loaf doing something that I don't like to do.
Yeah.
Doing the work.
Yeah.
Saying being bold enough what service is in the giving spirit,
Yeah.
and what you're willing to do versus, where you are now, and really be angry. And then the crazy thing, the crazy thing is that you're very good at it.
Uh-huh.
You're taking it to a level of work. But the process between whatever that work might be, whatever the process in doing it is like detrimental to your spirit. And the thing that's good too.
Yeah. But
that visual of the structure and being that we all had scenarios where it's been stuff in the structure. It's kind of great, but to think that, that is the overflow and that's like that visual. So that was good. When you went into the thing of the growth quadrant, the initial question was thinking was 25% is the big percentage. Flipped it to, well, what's the other 75%? But it doesn't make a difference for this conversation.
Yeah.
Hey, what's B, C, and D? It doesn't make a difference because we're focusing on the 20% that growth piece, which is key. And I like how you laid it out and definitely pushing that growth piece into, see how you did it. I don't know if you did it perfectly, but you kind of work growth into purpose together. Like if you can turn growth into your purpose,
yeah.
Now you're on track. So you reframe it instead of saying, oh man, what's your purpose? Hey man, what's your purpose? What's your purpose? No, leave it all alone. Get through the But what are you trying to do to grow? What makes you feel good? And what makes you like that? That's thing. Where's the spoon? So,
and let me hit you on this real quick, Pass, because I'm glad you said that, because there's something real quick on that. I used to think, and you guys know this, especially if you've been hanging around for long. I used to be like, what is your passion? What's your purpose? What's your passion? And do that, right? But over the past couple of years, I'm working with entrepreneurs. I realized that what somebody's business is may not be their passion. Some people are just passionate about creating. Some people, and this is when you hear the term serial entrepreneurs, some people are passionate about like creating. So I'm not going to tell who this person is, but I had a conversation recently because they gave the analogy of building a tunnel. And building a tunnel. And you know how people when you build a tunnel and they say, well, I just want to get to the light at the end of the tunnel, right? And he said, I realized that I'm not motivated by the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm motivated about building another tunnel. And so when you hear people say things like that, that leads you to, and I'm just speaking about this in terms of like building a business. We might not be talking about building a family business. What we may be talking about is just really talking about being in the spirit of creating. And then you build it and then you pass it off, or in better terms, you sell it to somebody else to take it to another level. And then you create and build something again, and you get that to a place, you sell that and let them grow it, and you go and do it again. And so I say all that to say, if we understand what our passion is, our passion may not be the thing that we've built. It could be that our passion is creation and the ability to continue to create. You think about people who own, what was it? Somebody they asked a question, it was a guy who owned a dog food company, and he didn't even have a dog. It was like, You know, it's like, wait a second, you don't own a dog? Like, no, I don't own a dog, but I know there's a market. A lot of people own dogs and they need to eat. So, you know, so I think this is important for us to, going back to this whole concept around marrying what you know and understand with things that you are passionate about, and letting that participate in this growth quadrant. And, you know, because the thing is that the more we think about growth, you know, we're including it into, if you're entrepreneurial, you definitely want to think about growth from a bottom line financial perspective. But even in just in your day to day, if you're not entrepreneurial, you're just trying to figure out, how do I get better? You know, how do I feel better about what I'm doing on a day to day basis? You know, you want to identify, what does growth look like for you, and you have to get to that place. And my thought process on this is, you want to get to a space where you're at least pursuing the things that you know you care about, that you're passionate about. And that just even getting to a position to think about that is exciting. To even just start to say, you know, what is it? What is it that I'm passionate about? And run your brain down through those moments. You know, so I would say that's really the next part two of this. So for our next call, you know, I really want us to come back to the call next week. Next, actually, we're going to do a call at the end of the month, so we will get back to our normal rhythm. So in January, we'll have 2 calls. So for our next call, I really want us to come back, and for anybody who's willing to share, what is in your growth quadrant? You know, what is it that you're going to commit yourself to grow this year? What that thing is. If you're willing to share, great. If you don't, as long as you come with that intention, knowing that you have it in your mind, that because we're going to go through strategies of how do we continue to grow. And so, but that's the big takeaway, that we walk away from this call knowing that we're working on growing something. We will grow something in 2024, and that's the objective. All right, Pastor, I'll get back to you.
So, hey, you know, that's my thing real quick. Yeah, can I jump in real quick, please. Sure, go ahead. I'm getting work. I got my earbuds in, and I've been listening. I'm wanting to jump in, and I went in the bathroom, and I need to get something.
Go for it.
So, can you hear me? Like, yeah. So, like, this is why I love this group. And to everybody on the call, I want you to hear me and hear me clearly. Without me going into all the details of what I've been through, gone through, where I am today, the things that these brothers are talking about right now are exactly where I am in my life. But more important, for me, which is what we are all here for each other. So I couldn't resist the moment to, like, God working through every individual speaking on this call, how it's working for me, and how it will work for every individual listening on this call. To share. So to hear and Dwayne saying things with so much, you know, we all worked together and talked and interacted through the years. When you talk about really something different, which is what you just said, right? Which is growth for you. Mm-hmm. To see the leader grow, that's true reciprocation, right? The leader should grow as the followers grow, because we're all coming to the table with something of value. So we share things. We share things with us. We share things with each other. We all grow. We get money. We build businesses. We have families and blah 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 blah. But what about us individually? And to be at a point, Larry, where you and I me and Larry has been talking, just speaking real quick, unapologetically being selfish, which is healthy. Learn that. I have to be selfishness that team jump in so that you can get what you need from the group, which is what someone is asking for. Right? Share, tell us what you're experiencing and going through, because the message that I want to drill home to everybody listening is closed mouths don't get fed on this call. If you don't open your mouth and tell people what you're doing, what you're experiencing, how you're growing, if you don't share, because this is not a pyramid, what they call a multi-level marketing group, right? I'm in one of those. Pay money to make money, and it's based on money. This is you only get better if you share it, because it's about you, right? You can't grow sitting and listening to what everybody else is going through and not open up and share, because like Byron said, you never know what people can help you with. Then you get the networking piece, which is what made me say, I got to go in the bathroom and speak. Byron, when you used to talk about the why back in the day, believe it or not, right? Me the most unpolished guy on this call, right? The most unpolished guy on this call. What I always suffered from is not being in a place where I felt that people understood me, because back then when you were asking about the why, to create stuff and go on. That people understood that was in the engineering class with believing in more. Because engineers, we create. But in this group, my point, in this group, whatever you do as a part of a team, whether it's a basketball team, football team, volleyball team, debate team, whatever the roles and positions are, know that you have people in this group who their natural mode of operation is to perform other functions that you will need. So it's me, and this is why I had to take a moment to say thank you to everybody that I know on this call and the ones that I don't know. Like from Dana Truesdale, who I met through this call, to Larry Brown, who's my best friend. Larry has seen me be so uncomfortable growing up because of what you're talking about, Byron. People never really understood that I don't get off on getting to the end of the tunnel. Get off on seeing the tunnel and knowing that you're going to be good when you get to the end of the tunnel, and then we're going to go over here and start the blueprint for this next tunnel.
Yeah.
Because like I said in the beginning, I realized enough. Paz knows me from a kid when I was wearing dress shoes in gym playing basketball, right? So for as untalented as I sometimes like to think that people think I am, I'm probably the most polished person when it comes to how I was raised. And now it's okay. Paz, you ready? It's okay to be little nerdy our team from C12 again, Paz. It's healing, Byron. We talk about the mental health. We talk about the physical health. We talk about it all together. At 48 years old, Byron, you and this group have told me that it's okay to be the person that Larry and I, which we are similar in, that we always had to in the way we grew up. To be in a group where it's okay to be that, brother, as a project manager for the state of Maine, with all we've been through, he's excited about what's going to happen for him in this group.
Yeah.
That giving would get me what. So I brought Diana because I knew her from Las Vegas from the Urban League, and I knew she would need something, and I know that if you need something, can go to Diana. You understand what I'm saying? Paz brought me. So I just wanted to take a moment to say the diamond that we all have access to. And I want to encourage everybody in 2024, let's blow it up, man. We are unstoppable.
Love it. My man.
Make me sound like a story on this call. Just know I've been a fan of supplements for many years. However, but and you can't, it really can't be said any better than that as far as testimony is concerned.
Yeah.
And what it's meant to talk at different times. And this came their way as myself, anybody who's building a car, there's people right now who are in the world, living life, and they will pinpoint times for their life. Now, don't plug me to that Saturday call, and it's the reason why I'm going in this direction. They never say anything, or if they stuff the or whatever. But you gotta tell them, I mean, it's a very personal thing. So, wholeheartedly agree with you on moves that need to be made in 24, and planting seeds. You all right, as usual.
So one last thing I want to throw on here. One quick thing I want to throw on here before we finish up. We actually are at a 9:11, so we're past the 2-hour mark. So just want to put that out there. If you're on for the first time, this is a 2-hour call, so we're past the 2-hour mark. So just want to be clear. But one thing I do want to, we talked about this last year during our 90-day challenge during the summertime, and I'm at a mode now where I'm only focused on 12-week years. So basically, each quarter is a year, and which means if we shrink our 12-month goals into 12-week goals, then now we're moving. Now we're moving. And now we're not in a situation where October comes and like, oh, you know what? What was that goal I had again in January? Let me try to catch up. Let's shrink this to 12-week goals. Take our annual goals and make them quarterly goals, which means now what we're hoping to get done in a month, we need to get that done in a week, right? And so let's just actually start, if we're looking for exponential growth. And so let's identify what are our goals for the year, which means for the next 12 weeks. What do we want to have completed by March 31st? It's something big, set an audacious goal. Whatever it is, there's nothing wrong with setting a big goal, because the fact that you're willing to pursue it in and of itself means even if you don't hit it, you're going to be much further off than you were with that 12-month goal, right? And so let's get back into the mindset of having 12-week goals instead of annual goals, and identify what that thing is that's in your head, that we're focused on growth. So it has to be some type of, it can't, when we talk growth, it can't just be like everything else. And in the past, you mentioned earlier, he was like, well, man, if I got, if 25% is focused on growth, well, what's the other stuff? The other stuff is just your normal life, because usually your normal life is 100% of what you spend your time on, or if we're looking at it from a money perspective, 100% of your money is going where it goes. Like if you're invested in 401ks and mutual funds and things, that's where it goes. But you say, I need some real growth. Like, what can I do to tap into some, exponential growth? Now we're talking about business ownership. Whether you're building a business or you're buying a business or you're jumping into a system that's already working, but you're finding a way to get into a moving growth model. And I think, again, we have the bandwidth to approach this from a time and money perspective. And I say time, we're talking about how you're spending your time, and money, I mean, how am I exponentially growing assets in ways that I haven't been doing before? So this conversation is something that we can definitely talk offline on and dig into in more detail. If you guys want to just say, hey, I heard what you said, but I don't want to share. Let's talk directly. Let's have a one-on-one, talk it through, because I want this to become practical for everybody who can hear my voice. I want this to become practical this year, that growth is something you embrace, and you just want to need a little bit, some clarity on how to get there, how to apply it You got a busy life already. How do I do that? Let's talk that through, because this year doesn't have to be like other years. We can just start now and go. And I think we got all the right tools to do it. So again, before our next call, let's spend some time thinking about what is going to be your growth factor. What's in your growth quadrant this year? What are you going to work on? And then we can really begin the process of unpacking. Get your books, get who you're focused on. Start identifying what your day-to-day things will be. Who's your network? Who are your mentors? How you're associating with them? What are you going to do differently this year in terms of your downtime? And we're not saying give up on your comfort, but manage your downtime for growth. And if you're doing this thing, and if you're focused on passion projects, things that you're actually passionate about, this isn't going to be a chore. And we talk about Dwayne and his situation. It was this time last year when he made the decision to start moving in a new direction from a health and wellness perspective. And now this is his life. It's not. He doesn't feel uncomfortable. As you can hear, he doesn't feel uncomfortable about his life and what he's eating and how he's working out every day. And now he's starting a whole business that's still a part of that passion. Like Dwayne's example today is a classic model for how when passion and assets come together, passion and business objective come together. That's it. And that is available for everybody here. We can talk about the different types of business structures to do that. And for some people, it's easier to do it one way than another. But there's no one way. So we can talk about that in detail. You guys are part of the network. This other people, clients pay money for that kind of conversation. But this is the network. We're going to go because we know we're focused on personal development. So with that, it's 9:17. Anybody else have any questions, comments before we finish up for the day?
So it shows who you are, your character, your beliefs, and your friends, and the people that are working towards their purpose. And the fact that you keep showing up for us as you're showing up for yourself, it does not go unnoticed. And I just want to say thank you. And I love you. And I'm grateful for our team bringing me to you guys. I told you on our first meeting, y'all my new friends.
Y'all my new friends.
So grateful. So that's it for me. But thank you all. I love you all.
Love you.
Love you, child.
All right, good people.
Yeah. We always appreciate those news. Can't be said enough.
Appreciate y'all, man. I could be on here talking to myself. Y'all choose to dial in. I'm pretty sure it's happened a couple times. I'll still go live. It's all good. It's all good. All right, good people. This is a year of growth. If you could, I don't know what else to say. I'm so focused on it. I'm excited. I can feel it, taste it. It's so real, and I can see it, right? And so that's the reason why I want you guys to get to a point where you know what growth means to you, because at that point, then you can see it, And man, if I say what I'm ready to say, we're gonna go another 10 minutes, but all right, here we go.
One of the greatest examples of growth and how to approach growth is if you go to the Bible and look up the parable of the sower.
Yeah.
And just see, about seeds and what to expect as you move into growth. So, typically we got books and all that, but I know we haven't laid it out. So there's something to just go look up, and it is in a book, the parable of the sower is a good way to approach that. Very good way to approach it. Way to see how things go. There you go. Bam, I'm done.
No, I love that. And actually, who's that? Lawrence is on the call. he is on the call. Spirit Adam. Oh, I love it. I came across actually that when I sent the one to you guys last week, I was listening to the call from 2022. Lawrence was on and you weren't, Paz. You were somewhere, and he jumped out. He said, "Hey, I'm speaking up for Paz right now. I love it when you go past 2 hours." I'm speaking up for Paz, man. So I'm glad I forgot what I was going to say because it was going to take us 10 minutes to get through it. So I'm going to leave it where it is. All right, folks, enjoy. Hey, go Ravens. Let's say that. Go Ravens. Hey, and I know.
You look wonderful in purple there.
That's
You Lamar Jackson with our feature. I'm a Lamar Jackson.
Hey, Paz, let us know what's going on at La Familia. Let us know what's up at La Familia. Tonight, right? Oh, it's 4 o'clock. Okay.
In the city, we sell food, drinks, free to get in. Come back, we celebrate the Ravens, and it's been a good season. It's been a good season.
Yeah.
So game 8:36 Guilford. The Guilford Avenue, right down in the same shop with the Dunkin' Donuts and right across from Central Booking.
Central Booking. Indeed. All right. So I think that's it. So have a great weekend. And we'll see the last week of this month. I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm fired up, folks. I don't know what else to say, but have a great weekend. Happy New Year. And we'll see you in a few. Have a good one.